your content capital.
WESN.
Lord, make us instruments of your peace.
Where there is hatred, let us sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt,
Faith. Where there is despair, hope.
Where there is darkness,
Light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying
that we are born to eternal life.
Amen.
WESN.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Numi Maknish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Police arrest 5, seize ammunition in anti-crime raids. Businessman fatally shot at Faizabad fast food outlet. 1 denied bail, another granted 500K bail in drug trafficking case. Miss Universe TNT Janelle Thongs praised despite criticism. Now for the details. Police arrested 5 people, including a woman, and seized ammunition during overnight anti-crime operations in the Southern and Tobago divisions. In Pleasantville, officers arrested a 33-year-old man with a loaded Beretta pistol, along with 2 others from La Brea and San Fernando. Meanwhile, in Tobago, police detained a 21-year-old man linked to robbery, assault and ammunition possession, and a 19-year-old suspect for housebreaking and theft. The operations involved officers from the CID task force and local police stations. Investigations ongoing. A businessman was shot and killed at his Faizabad fast food outlet, Syriana Middle East Food, early on November 19th. Muath Nassar, 50 of Brentwood Park, Chaguanas, was working with his son around 1:25 a.m. when 2 men approached. One suspect shot Nassar in the head before both fled the scene near the Faizabad Health Center. Southwestern Division officers and the Homicide Bureau are investigating, but no motive has been determined. The suspects were described as tall and slim, wearing distinctive clothing. An autopsy will be conducted at the Forensic Science Center. A La Romaine man, Andre Floyd, was denied bail while his co-accused Mark Ramnarayan was granted $500,000 bail when they appeared before High Court Master Shabiki Kazabon on November 18th. The 2 men faced charges of marijuana possession for trafficking after police seized 10.6 kilograms of the drug during a vehicle search in Chaguanas on November 14th. The packages were found in a black plastic bag on the passenger side floor. Floyd, a fruit vendor, was represented by attorneys Jason Jackson and Christian Rambut, while Ram Narayan was unrepresented. A status hearing is scheduled for March 7, 2025, with a sufficiency hearing set for November 20, 2025. Stephen Jones, CEO of Crowns and Sashes, has expressed full support for Miss Universe TNT Janelle Thongs after her participation in the 73rd Miss Universe pageant in Mexico City. Although Thongs did not make it to the semi-finals, she earned the Miss Congeniality title, a reflection of her grace and poise under public scrutiny of her appearance. Jones praised Thongs for representing Trinidad and Tobago with dignity and thanked supporters for rallying behind her. He noted Thongs is now taking a well-deserved break and will share her future plans soon. The organization plans to review feedback and looks forward to continuing its mission in the next year, pending renewal of the franchise. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi Macnish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
This holiday season, bring the magic of Christmas home with WESN's Joy of Christmas. Relive timeless classics from the laughter to the heartwarming moments that make the season unforgettable.
Hey, light the lamp, not the rat, light the lamp, not the rat!
Santa's coming to town! Ah! Oh my God!
Whoa!
Oh, the baby.
Experience the joy of WESN special productions, crafted to bring you new stories and cherished memories. This year, let WESN bring the joy of Christmas to your home.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
Catch the spirit, catch the joy.
Anchors away. May the force be with you.
Only on WESN, your content capital.
Give us a call.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
Where good private health care is affordable.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
WESN.
there, and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Getting straight into our first topic of conversation is the protest action by workers of the Trinidad and Tobago Postal Service. They are protesting against salary increases, or rather a lack of negotiations, conversations, extensive direction in respect to salary increases. Now, according to the postal workers unions, they have been working on 2013 salaries. In fact, they have not received any guidelines for an implementation of an 18.6% increase, which we believe was negotiated in 2011. There seems to be some misunderstanding or a bit of confusion as per the collective agreement aspect of this. So let's get some clarification this morning as I welcome to the program the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Postal Workers Union, Mr. David Forbes. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Oh, pleasant good morning, Mr. Sean, Trinidad and Tobago. I am David Forbes. Just a little slight deviation, and I am the General Secretary of the Union.
Appreciate the correction, sir. Thank you very much indeed for that. Now, in respect to the collective agreement periods, exactly when was the last time that took place? When was the last instance of negotiations in respect to the collective agreement?
Right. So we have a collective agreement from 2008 to 2010. Mm-hmm. And then in 2011 to 2013, we signed off a memorandum of agreement with the then People's Partnership Government, who would have given that leeway for the negotiations during that time. So to be clear, we negotiate with the management of TT Post, who will take guidelines from the Chief Personnel Officer, who would send those guidelines to the Ministry of Public Utilities. So what we would have signed off in for the period 2011 to 2013 was a memorandum of agreement. And since then, we have not had increases in salaries. Tied to that issue is the whole question about job evaluation exercise that was undertaken by HRC Associates in 2010, and with a final report that was laid in 2011, after rigorous rounds of determining position descriptions at the Trinidad and Tobago Postal Corporation. So coming out of that recommendation, we would have seen recommended an 18.6% to be applied to the value of jobs at TT Post. So in terms of government policy and as per the Industrial Relations Act, you would note that there is a stipulated amount of years that one is to have negotiations, from 3 years and up to 5 years. However, what we are battling with is the issue of the separation of the two items. One is the policy direction in terms of normal collective bargaining as per the Industrial Relations Act. And of course, one would know that when you have a new job coming into being, that job has to be evaluated. So TT Post, born from 1999, from the old General Post Office system. Of course, there was a transition way back at that time, as of July 1st, 1999. And with the creation of TT Post, they would have decided to have it run by a management team. That management team was given a mandate to ensure that the entity would have the necessary in terms of upgrading its systems. And in upgrading its systems, you would note that there were different divisions that came into being. One, you have a finance division, you had the retail division upgraded from just clerical workers from the old system. And then you also have the question of a courier department. So those three major areas were developed, and including the sales and marketing department. Those areas were built on the backdrop that the entity was to improve its services to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And with that, in doing so, you obviously would have had to have new employees coming in, and of course, given an organizational structure by Cabinet, which was approved in 2007. Just prior to that period, between 1999 and 2007, is where you would have been seeing the different changes. So with the changes brought about the whole question of jobs, new jobs coming into being, and that would have realized from its mandate a recommendation for job descriptions to be developed. So that is the context of this issue that we have been having in regards to this job evaluation exercise. The workers feel very much dissatisfied to know that as of today, that recommendation has not been realized, but they have indeed been operating with the job descriptions.
So there are two issues here. Issues in respect to the job evaluations and recommendations that were actually put forward by a report from HRC and Associates. And the second, of course, is negotiations in respect to the collective bargaining agreement. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's
right. In that respect, the 18.6% increase was from the collective agreement or from the HRC Associates report?
HRC Associates report.
And in that regard, is there an agreement in place? You said there's a memorandum of understanding for that 18.6%?
There was a memorandum of agreement with regards to the increases in salaries as the collective bargaining side of it. But the issue of the job evaluation, we would have signed off on all those job descriptions between the union and the management in agreeing that these are the jobs that any person will come into TT Post and operate under.
So TT Post management has actually signed that agreement as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So in that respect, so now that that has been clarified, in that respect, since then, has there been any sort of negotiations or conversations regarding the implementation of this report? Because this is close to 10 years.
Yes. So what would have happened is that you would recognize that we would have had a change in government. When the People's Partnership was in government is when the exercise was undertaken. And we were in discussions separate and apart, one with Halik Rajkumar and Associate, because the CPO at that time would identify 4 anomalies, very minor anomalies that we had to treat with in terms of 4 positions. Those 4 positions, what you found happening with it is that they carry the same title in terms of the specific job. And we just had to make a separation in terms of the basis of where those positions will fall in terms of the compensation plan. So that was done. The management and the union would have met with Halik and Halik Rajkumar Associates, and we would have cleared up that issue. And fast tracking to when we met with Mr. Jerry Hospitalis, who was he was in the strategic department of the Ministry of Finance. We would have written then Larry Hawaii, who was the Minister of Finance at that time, who did respond and say that the issue itself of the job evaluation would be given the attention that is required. So he would have set up a meeting with us through Mr. Hospitalis. I don't think he's at the Ministry of Finance anymore. I think he would have been retired now. So we had that meeting with him, and there was a commitment by the then government to start the process of initiating and implementing that recommendation. However, the government changed, and since then we have been fighting up to have it implemented.
So the other issue with all of this is that there is a letter that was written to the CPU in respect to proposals made for the period of 2014 to 2016. Those proposals were exactly for what? Is it all part of this memorandum of understanding, or is this in respect to collective bargaining agreement as well? Because there are 2 issues here.
Yeah, sure. So when we did the proposals for 2014 to 2016, which is before the CPO, and of course, we would channel it to the management who we negotiate with because they get guidelines, as I said earlier on. In that document, we would have indicated the issue of the job evaluation, that on top of the increases in salary that we're expecting, that we would see the realization and settlement of that once and for all. However, we have not had any tangible explanation as to why, since the last government, the People's Partnership, we have not had any communication from this present regime in how, or through the CPO that is, how they are going to treat with the job evaluation. So you would have seen since last year, we would have been outside the CPO's office calling on the powers that be to treat with that recommendation. However, what we noted is that we won't take none, and then we had to write the CPO himself. We wrote the CPO on 2 occasions and copying the Minister of Finance. And let me just say, you know, the Minister of Finance, he's very much aware of the situation. The fact that he is not responding and responding to other issues in the national domain from a financial aspect, it begs the question why it is the powers that be are of the view that postal workers is not deserving of this. Because I am pretty sure that if it was not a legitimate concern as per the workers and the union, the government would have already said something about it. So we and note that we would have noted that while we were preparing that correspondence to go down to the CPO and copying the Minister of Finance, was the whole question of the 117 report from SRC for government officials and other high-ranking public servants. And I could recall that when our evaluation was undertaken, it would have been the same time that it was being undertaken back in 2010, 2011. I think Mr. Manning and they were just had just demitted office or something like that. But I recall that even when the People's Partnership was there, that report came out. I think it would have been the 98th report before, you know, they moved the title of the report forward, like how it is the 120th at present. So the point is that the powers that be are recognizing that they are at lower M in terms of their salaries and upon recommendation, and why it is they are not seeing it fit for the layman, the normal ordinary worker who we deem to be working and turning the wheels of Trinidad and Tobago, the economy that is, not being given that due respect in terms of our evaluation, right? So the point is that we would have had to be picketing the CPU's office. In fact, we would have met with him. On the last occasion, we were there a couple months ago, and he indicated that, you know, he understood our concerns with it. But yet still, we have not heard anything that is tangible. I can only say that at this point in time, the management would have written us a correspondence indicating that they got guidelines from the Ministry of Public Utilities to commence the collective bargaining process. And that would have been in 6 weeks' time. In our anticipation of 6 weeks' time, and hearing what the chairman of the board of directors would have said, Mr. Seals, through the media on Friday, that on the 2nd of December, they are going to meet with the union. We can only hope that in those discussions, we'll be hearing about the job evaluation. So that is where we are right now in regards to this, the question of these 2 items.
So with respect, okay, so putting job evaluation aside for the moment and looking at the collective period, as you mentioned, we received correspondence from TT Post, the management of TT Post, because on October 17th of this year, TT Post had a release saying that they received correspondence from the Ministry of Public Utilities. As you said, paves the way forward for negotiations for the period January 1st, 2011 to December 31st, 2019. Following that, I believe that the executive of the union would choose to meet. But even then, concerns or there were expressions of concerns that were raised heading into this particular negotiating period. What were some of those concerns that have been expressed heading into this particular negotiation?
Right. So since TT Post wrote us that letter, we would have responded, and correctly, after we met on that Saturday morning, we would have looked at the document, and we recognized that the period they would have quoted 2011 to 2019. If you recall earlier on, I said 2011 to 2013, we got increases in salary, right, through the collective bargaining process. And our concern is, why would they want to talk about that period, 2011 to 2013? We expressed that in our letter. We need to be clear. We need clarity with regards to that period. Is it that you are saying we are going to have now a collective agreement? So you have something in collective bargaining called cost item and non-cost items. We have been operating, as I started saying, agreement for 20 up to 2010, right? 2008 to 10, a collective agreement, and that agreement is still alive. That is, in fact, that is the terms and conditions the workers are currently operating with. So the point is that why are you highlighting 2011 to 2013? That is one of the concerns for us. And then we have the issue of 2014 to 2016. We ask that we are happy to hear that we are going to be negotiating that period, and that we would have proposed a percentage increase that we expect that would be realized. And then, of course, the period 2017 to 2019, the management, based on that period, we are hoping that they have a better trajectory or higher percentage increase from 2014 to 2016, or from that period. So those are the concerns we would have raised with them, and highlighting as well in our responding correspondence, that we want to understand clearly what is going to be happening with the job evaluation. So right now we are just waiting to see what happens on the 2nd of December, and of course we are hopeful that, you know, those two items, we can have meaningful discussions on behalf of not just workers in TT posts. There are a number of persons who would have left TT posts on retirement, or who would have resigned, or persons who would have passed, that we want to ensure that those people will also benefit from that job evaluation.
Now, I know previously, throughout the course of this interview, you've actually spoken that the Minister of Finance is aware of this situation, seems not to be addressing it. What about the Minister of Public Utilities? I know that recently as well called out the Minister of Public Utilities for not necessarily helping their cause. One media house reached out to the Minister, and his response to them was, the law does not allow for the Minister of Public Utilities to intervene in matters concerning terms and conditions of workers. This is a matter within the exclusive domain of the Chief Personal Officer. What do you make of that response in respect to the concerns that you have raised, even when you were picketing outside the Minister of Finance's office?
While that may be so, you know, the Minister would have indicated to us on many occasions, and that is through the management of TT Post and in the public domain, that he has asked the management of TT Post to look after all the issues that are affecting the workers. And we are not satisfied of a number of those issues that the management have a lack of respect to. So yes, we do not obviously negotiate with the minister. I think that is a political statement, because the minister is responsible for public utilities, and under his ambit is the Trinidad and Tobago Postal Corporation. And with that, if there are issues affecting the workers, obviously, we expect that the minister, not in interfering, obviously, but having some way of understanding from the management or the CPO what's really taking place. Because take note, the correspondence for the negotiations to commence, the guidelines came from the Ministry of Public Utilities. So, I mean, there's a contradiction in terms of what the minister is really trying to push us. He's trying to push a political narrative that doesn't hold, you know, with the workers, because he did at a interfaith service at TT Post state that the issues that are affecting the workers in front of all the workers will be given attention, and he has asked the management to treat with it. So I don't know why there's a separation of this collective bargaining and job evaluation issue from the other issues that are impacting the workers as well. If you say all issues, it has to be, you know, from layman understanding that all issues are all issues. And therefore, what we were asking the minister to simply do is speak to his cabinet colleagues, because they also take positions within cabinet to determine through the CPU, what the government could do and what it cannot do. And we would have heard the Minister of Finance saying that, and we know in the labor movement that that is not the correct way for collective bargaining. It's supposed to be on the reverse, because the entity, TT Post, while it is driven by subvention from the government in treating with its employees, etc., in terms of salaries and other operations, we know it best. And of course, the management of TT Post are also impacted by this. Let me say we represent the middle managers, which we'll call bargaining unit number 2. And in the correspondence that we responded to, if I may say, that we asked that particular question, why wasn't BU2 mentioned in the correspondence or the guidelines coming from the Ministry of Public Utilities? So in our response, we would have also asked that question. So there are so many unclear situations with regards to what the management would have sent us, and hence our response.
Does the union plan to actually intensify its action, or is it that it's now waiting to see what comes out of that meeting in the beginning of December with the Chief Personnel Officer?
Well, we have had the experience over time in negotiations, and when people make public statements, we sometimes tend to, take it with a pinch of salt, as we say, local balance. But the fact that the workers have been waiting so long for these issues to be finally dealt with, we would have started by embarking on in a symbolistic way of treating with it. Workers were wearing red ribbons. We had blackout Fridays where workers were wearing black jerseys, indicating and highlighting their frustration and dissatisfaction with the way they have been looked after. We intend to have a church service. The workers have called and have said that, we can't do anything without God, and that's one of the things that we want to do in our highlighting and calling on the powers that be, to understand that it's human beings that you are dealing with, right? And not because you have the power of authority to look after people in a particular way, that they are not to be respected. We are calling that they be respected and that they are given their just due. We are going to continue to highlight our issue generally in the public domain, and we have gotten support from the Joint Trade Union Movement and the National Trade Union Center on this specific issue.
In this particular period, the action will remain more symbolic than anything else, because there were reports of work actually coming to an end early or not happening at all at various TT Post offices across TNT. I believe last week Friday there were at least 3 offices that were shut early. But at this time, you're saying that the action will remain symbolic more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, what I can say is that it has its success, and as we go along, we'll determine what other course of action we will take in accordance with the law. And we are very much mindful of how we operate as a union and labor movement as well. Workers have their rights under the Industrial Relations Act, and we will exercise those rights accordingly.
Well, Mr. Forbes, I want to thank you for joining us on the program this morning, at least to bringing us up to date, so that there is a clarification in respect to what is happening. So I think following that meeting with the CPU at the beginning of December, there is need, of course, for follow-up conversation. But all the very best to the workers and the union, and of course, we'll wait to see what happens.
Yes, Mr. Shah, we want to thank your station, yourself, and Trinidad and Tobago for this morning's interview.
Thank you very much, sir. All the very best to you. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. Lots more to get into. We're continuing the conversation in respect to salary increases, or at least proposals for salary increases when we return. Stay with us.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust. Prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide: Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us. We continue the conversation focusing on salary increases, or proposed salary increases at least. The 120th report of the Salaries Reviews Commission is proposing wage increases for 950 state officials across 325 categories. Now, there have been debate within the public domain. One former central bank deputy governor, deputy central bank governor, I would like to put it, they were deputy governor, has indicated that it is actually quite affordable. And in some instances, he believes that the wages received by some of these employees of the state are, of course, ridiculous. For example, permanent secretaries, the work that they do and their responsibilities for what they receive in return is bad. That's just not quoting him verbatim, but essentially what he said. There have been other analysts who said it's kind of risky to even speak about this in an election year. Is it though? Isn't this something or an exercise that takes place over so many years? Isn't this the responsibility of the Salaries Reviews Commission? I'm joined this morning by political analyst Dr. Shane Mohammed. Good morning, Dr. Mohammed. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you so very much for having me. Very interesting topic this morning.
What were your initial, what was your initial reaction actually to the Salary Reviews Commission reports and their recommendations for wage increases?
Well, my response is going to be a bit controversial, and I need to explain the perspective when I tell you what my thoughts are, right? The salary increases are important, and I do understand that there are those that are going to say that the persons who are below the 300 and something persons that have been recommended, whose salaries have been recommended to be increased, they need to also have their salaries increased as well. And I agree with that. Now, there's a Malaysian model. I don't know if you recall, but there was a period of time in Malaysia where the public service and all services that touch and concern the bureaucracy, meaning the public sector, was highly corrupt. And there were examples that went down to as simple as persons had become accustomed to paying for their driver's license and paying a bribe to attain a driver's license, to renew a driver's license, to attain a passport, to get over-the-counter services. They were paying bribes to public servants in order to get these very simple things done in a timely manner. And one of the reasons for that back then was the fact that persons were highly unmotivated. They didn't enjoy efficiency and effectiveness in their workspaces. And above all of that, they were poorly compensated for the work that was required to be done. And what the Malaysian model did was that it had found that if they increased the salaries of the public servants, that made it, on the one hand, you are increasing the salaries of the public servants, and then on the second hand, you are also increasing the fines and the penalties for persons engaged in corruption or caught in corruption, making it very high. So it was twofold, right? So in our instance in Trinidad and Tobago, I see it in a different way, but similarly as well. One, we do increase the penalty for corruption at the level of the public service across the board, meaning everybody in the public sector. Two, we do increase the salaries of all public officers to provide them with an incentive to be better, do better, change the culture, change the behaviors and mindsets, all of those things. But there's another part of it, which is we need to treat the public service as a business, which it is by nature. It just happens to be a government business, and therefore create a model that allows the public service to generate effectively and efficiently its revenue for the state. Then I would say, once we are able to do those things, then we should increase the salaries. I have a serious problem. I've always maintained this. I think you would remember me saying this in a classroom. The head of state of Trinidad and Tobago, the head of government of Trinidad and Tobago, and those involved in the governance of Trinidad and Tobago at the state level, the Speaker, the Prime Minister, the President of the Senate, the Chief Justice, Ministers of Government, permanent secretaries, they should not be making less money than the CEO of a state enterprise like WASA. It is absolutely, completely ridiculous. And it is actually one of the reasons why there's corruption is so high in the public sector. So I agree with the Salary Review Commission, and I do believe that no CEO in the public sector, in fact, no prime minister or no head of government or government official should be making less money than a chief executive officer.
Okay, Shane, so one of the basic foundations of the whole study of political science focuses on human nature and human behavior. And it's argued that humans are inherently selfish, right? So in understanding that, taking a look at the Malaysian model that you've spoken of, that applies to Malaysia, that probably works. Down here, it's still a theory that is yet to be applied. Do you genuinely believe that an increase in salaries would allow for greater efficiency and would allow for less corruption because people are motivated to work for the money that they're receiving?
Not from a standalone perspective. It's not simply just as easy as you're going to increase the salaries of persons and then expect them to do better. That's going to be very unreasonable. There has to be serious checks and balances, systems for performance management, systems to create a high performance workspace using the HR models, systems to improve the bureaucratic processes, which it all comes down to slapping the politicians in their face, making them realize that we are 40 plus years behind on constitutional reform, and therefore the public service it needs to be reformed. It needs to be restructured. There are new mechanisms and new perspectives, new theories, new systems that need to be put in place to ensure that we change the culture. And the idea here is to create a high performance workspace where there is high efficiency and effectiveness, motivation, and all of the different categories that go into that aspect of human resource management, which provides for better services, delivery of services, and in some instances, goods at the level of the public sector. And then that also, therefore, that ties into improving people's salaries. You can't want to improve people's salaries and then expect them to do better. I mean, that is a risk. It's not that it can't work, but the culture has to change. The systems need to be improved. There has to be, standard operating procedures, international best practices. We tried in Trinidad and Tobago to bring new public management into Weber's bureaucracy in 1991. Even that is 30 years behind because Weber's bureaucracy needs reform, and Christopher Hood's new public management also has a new approach to it as well 30 years after. We in Trinidad and Tobago seem to not understand the importance of improving ourselves in that regard and believing that, just talking about something and just going with the Salary Review Commission and accepting their suggestions and recommendations is going to be enough. That's not going to be enough at all.
Do you think at this particular point of time, though, that there have been comments, interesting enough, from government ministers? One government minister, Adrian Leon's, saying that he believes that the government will not adopt these measures at this point in time. Other government ministers choosing to remain silent about it, saying, let's wait to see what happens with the debate in Parliament. One minister even saying, this is up to the purview of the Prime Minister. Nothing on the part of the opposition either. Do you think the responses around this are, in itself, walking on eggshells? It seems as though they'd like to contribute or say something without saying much.
The answer is them being politically correct or politically shy, as far as I'm concerned. The bottom line is one has to understand public administration very clearly. They have to understand the operations of public administration. They have to understand how it works, how it operates, how it functions, the efficiencies behind it, the roles, the responsibilities, the duties. And a lot of that is not known to the general public. People don't understand that there are permanent secretaries that get to work at 4:30 in the morning and they don't leave till 8 o'clock at night. And their desks and their offices are stacked with files that needs to be extensively and meticulously read and understood, and before they put their signature to an approval of even $1. There are many people that don't understand under the rules and regulations of the Public Service of Trinidad and Tobago that the permanent secretary is the accounting officer for each ministry, and those enterprises that fall directly under him or her are liable to have their assets frozen or seized where there is an error, where an error occurs in the expenditure of public funds, or where there's a miscalculation or misappropriation of public funds. Not that, and I make it clear that that is why they are called the accounting officers, because they are the ones responsible for the operations of the public service and not the Minister of Government. So the truth and in fact that it comes back down to saying that the permanent secretaries also need to have their salaries increased, so that that very, very, very thin gray line that could possibly push them in the up, and because of, I'll say that a lot of people say that that permanent secretaries are corrupt because of that specific rule and regulation in the rule about assets being seized and assets are being frozen because of the malappropriation or misappropriation of funds is what keeps permanent secretaries in check, because from traversing that gray line of corruption. So the bottom line is everybody is going to be circumspect about the statement, about the review, about the recommendations, but nobody wants to see this for what it is. It is needed holistically from bottom come up in the public service to create a high performance workspace. I mean, their ministries are outperforming others, and that is because of, one, the interaction that the minister and the permanent secretary has with staff, how they interact with staff, how they engage with staff, how they motivate with staff, what they do, what they say, how they do it, how they say it, and all of those things. All of those things comes with good leadership. But at the same time, that's not always the intangibles are not always good enough to outweigh the tangibles that people are needed when they go to the grocery or when they get their bills to pay and when they have their kids to look after and that sort of thing. The other aspect of it is that nobody is taking, and I don't care what the government says, I mean, the evidence is there. If we were doing well, we would not be stagnated. If we were doing well, we would not having a whole debate on the foreign exchange issue. If we were doing well, we would have different revenue streams beyond oil and gas. If we were doing well, we would have not been speaking about diversification, but we would have been actualizing diversification and also enjoying the fruits of the labor of diversification. So that's another aspect of it. You can't want to increase your salary when your economy is really, I can't say the word I want to use, but you'd get what my drift is.
We understand where you're coming from. You've made an argument, and I understand your argument. I'm not necessarily in agreement with it, but I'm curious to know your position as to whether or not you think, even from what you've put forward, it makes more sense to have a performance review based assessments for salary increases, rather than just a salary reviews commission of the formula of which we don't entirely know understand as to how they arrive at this point. Do you think it's performance based that should be adopted more at this particular point, given the arguments that you've made as well?
Well, to start with, let's start with from how in God's name do we offer the CEO of WASA $100,000+ a month to come and do what, right? When that's just a small entity, there's no rules, and to put it very plainly to you, the new CEO of WASA, nothing prevents him from coming and getting $100,000+ of Trinidad and Tobagoans tax dollars and then getting himself wrapped up in bubble and corruption. Nothing stops him from that. So the fact of the matter is, it's beyond just performance management. It has to be some serious laws that says, like it says in the public service regulations, as it pertains to accounting officers, deputy permanent secretaries, directors of finance, corporate services directors, all of the people who can have in the public service, who can have their property and their assets frozen or seized, as the case will be based on after investigation. The same thing has to apply for politicians who are public officers, who sit in the building behind me. That's one. Two, yes, there's a need for performance management. The question is, who performs the performance management appraisal? Who does it? Who sits down and says, well, Prime Minister, you failed on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't deserve an increase in salary. There therefore needs to be an office and a directorate of some sort that will now assess the performance of each minister and each government. Well, let's just say the government, or let's just say the parliament as a whole, right? But who is going to assess these persons based on performance? And then there has to be certain criteria that you tick and to ensure that the performance management is done effectively. So how are we measuring performance? We can only measure, at the end of the day, it is the people that measure the performance, because Trinidadians and Tobagoans still don't realize that we, the people, are the employers of these persons, and therefore there has to be some level of constitutional reform that, so for example, the right to recall was an ideal aspect for why you can keep politicians in check, whether it be within the first year or the 5th year, right? There should be no law or no clause in any law in the Representation of the People Act that says I can't recall represent an MP within the 5th year of election, right? Because we don't believe that the person has done their jobs effectively. I think it is ideal for persons to be able to have the right to recall within the last year of an election. And if the seat is declared vacant, so be it. The point is, it will teach politicians and MPs especially a lesson: do your work. And at the end of the day, it lies within the people to say, you didn't do your work, we were not satisfied, we can do the referendum to have you removed, and sit and let the seat remain vacant until the run up to the election within the 5th year.
The issue is with constitutional reform, it seems those who are the ones that have the power to push forward constitutional reforms have already adopted their own approach from a political standpoint. And it's a similar thing with the SRC. Do you think that a different approach needs to be adopted? Because the report is laid in Parliament, but parliamentarians are the ones who decide whether or not their offices and the offices under them receive salary increases. Is there a need for a different approach to how these proposals are approved as well?
The entire system needs reform. That's the baseline of this whole thing. And the Salary Review Commission, Mr. Manning had a concept of an executive president. I would argue that we need a semi-executive president. I don't believe that Trinidadians and Tobagoans will never, and I will say this, will never be able to properly deal with an executive president. I think it should be a semi-executive president where it is written in law that there are aspects of meetings that take place between the Prime Minister and the President as something that is mandatory, and that the Prime Minister reports to the President on matters of state, and the President has the ability to reprimand. And I will also add that only works in a system where the President is elected by the people, and therefore that is something that I would support as well. In terms of the Salary Review Commission making the recommendation and then it going to the Parliament, that is possibly, I can't think of it, it could go to a referendum, right? And again, if we had the opportunity to put in a referendum into the system, and therefore the referendum speaks to the salary increase of persons, in the public service, I wouldn't say that a referendum should go to those persons who are in the public service. I think the recommendations of the SRC for persons within the framework of the public sector, meaning the ones who are permanent secretary, deputy permanent secretary, blah, 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 that shouldn't go to the people because they will not understand it. And I'm being as fair as possible, right? So therefore, that could stay within the remit of the parliament. However, the salary increases that touch and concerns the persons that have been elected or selected by virtue of politics, political parties, to serve in the house behind me, that should go to a referendum to the people of Trinidad and Tobago by ballot. And we should be able to modernize our system where that could be done by voting beyond just secret ballot in a ballot box in a building and having to go physically and do it. It's the same way that they've found a way where people's tickets can be mailed to them. I'm sure we can find a way where our vote on your salaries can be mailed to us, and we can mail it back to you.
Very interesting perspective, Dr. Mohammed. Very interesting perspective indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning and for sharing your opinions and wide range, need I say. When you said that everyone should have an understanding of public administration, for a moment I cried a bit because studying it is not the easiest subject.
That's another thing. The thing about it is, you would know that, you know, there's a lot. Public administration is a lot, and understanding the theories, understanding the perspective, understanding how things work in the public sector, understanding what people have to deal with. I mean, I would have spoken a lot of gibberish for some people about Weber's bureaucracy and Christopher's new public management and all of that. But the fact of the matter is that those are the little details. I would never advocate for people you don't need to know everything, but you need to know the basics. And there's a lot of basics that people don't understand. It's a simple thing like it's easy for people to say, well, this person is corrupted, this PS is corrupted, that person is corrupted. I would argue that there's a clause in the public service regulations that is in the Constitution that protects against it. And that same thing that protects against corruption by public officers there should be a clause that protects against politicians who, by virtue of their office, become public officers with the greatest framework of things. And I will close by saying this. We need to safeguard the public service and the rules and regulations of the public service by ensuring that the dichotomy that separates between the administration and the politics remains very clear. And I make no apologies for saying this, that under this administration, I do believe that the dichotomy of public administration has been completely grayed, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
Dr. Mohammed, thanks very much for your time this morning, and we await to hear through the comments, if not the debate in Parliament in respect to the SRC proposals. But as you mentioned, a lot more needs to take place other than just saying yes or no to a salary increase for public officials. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. While Wednesday to get into next, still thinking about public administration machine. I count the number of grays on my head, and a quarter of them are from studying political science, and a quarter of them are from Ryan Gomez-Burke and Sean Michael Small. The rest is probably just age and stress. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break. I want to return. Welcome Wild Wednesday. Stay with us.
This holiday season, bring the magic of Christmas home with WESN's Joy of Christmas. Relive timeless classics, from the laughter to the heartwarming moments that make the season unforgettable.
Hey, light the lamp, not the rat, light the lamp, not the rat!
Santa's coming to town! Oh my God!
Oh, poor baby.
Experience the joy of WESN special productions, crafted to bring you new stories and cherished memories. This year, let WESN bring the joy of Christmas to your home.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
Catch the spirit, catch the joy.
Anchors away. May the force be with you.
Only on WESN, your content capital.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private healthcare affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Bill and Ruth fell in love with the Benjamin Moore color Dry Sage, but they tried to match it using another brand's paint.
I mean, it's close enough.
Almost identical, really. Yeah, there it is.
Never trust another paint to be a Benjamin Moore color.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for joining me. I think my collar's giving me a bit of trouble. Forgive me there. Anyway, thank you so much. It's Wednesday, and the first edition of AM Prime on a Wednesday for 2024. And what does that mean? Drum roll, please. Can I get a drum roll? Ricardo Mead is with us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Happy
Good morning.
New Year. Good to see you.
Wonderful to be here. 2024.
Ah, yes, indeed. How was your time off? Oh, wait, sorry. Forgive me for being rude, because I see you brought 4 friends with you this morning.
Yes,
Because Miss Michaela Joseph is with us for the first time. Welcome to AM Prime.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I don't know what you've gotten yourself into this morning, but we're going to see later on.
Yes.
We'll introduce the other friends in a bit.
Yes.
But how was the Christmas season for you guys?
Hectic.
Good.
One said hectic, one said good.
Yeah.
Let's start with
Because I hardly saw her. So
it
it
was
was even more
good.
hectic. So it was even more hectic for us, you know. She was out paranging, and she had blanchisseries, paramin, she was having a time.
Kayla, I wish I met you sooner.
Yes, that is true.
I needed some of that, actually.
So now she has to work this morning.
And
yes. Next week is very, very significant. I'm seeing it right now. You're not seeing us next week.
Oh, thanks for letting me know in advance.
We get some other volunteer to pop in, but next week, Michaela and I are off to Florida.
Oh, okay.
For a wildlife conference, the FWRA. So that's the Florida Wildlife Rehabilitators Association annual symposium. So there's been a lull for us because of COVID, and then literally getting our feet under us and getting back again. And now we're going. So we started back small again. The first time I went, I took one volunteer. Michaela is going with me today. The last time we went, we had as many as 7 in the Trinidad delegation go. And that's important because, again, education. So we're not just educating the public, we have to educate ourselves. Better techniques in wildlife rehabilitation, even the education, administration of the facility. You know, we have so much to learn. Just how to interact with people so we don't take phone calls and, you know, ask them the wrong thing, like, you know, you don't know where the center is, bring in the animal and, you know, stuff like that. So
as soon as he said take phone calls, and exactly where I was going.
Well, we get 75 calls a day. So
wow.
you know, we have to address the situation properly, you know. People call in, I have some cats. And deep down inside me, it's like, oh gosh, we don't deal with cats, it's a wildlife center. But I can't, you know, you still have to be very diplomatic and very civil on the phone. You know, ma'am, it's a wildlife center, and we do not deal with domesticated animals. You know, I wouldn't tell them, you don't know what TSPC is.
I'm so glad that you've mentioned that on air, actually. Because my response would have been like, I'm sorry, we are not TTSPC. but fair enough, I get that. And good luck next week. Enjoy it. A lot of learning to come. And it only helps, even with this program, because when you guys come back, we can have further conversations about that. Yes. But you have some other guests with you today.
Yes. Well, it's supposed to be 3 boys, but I think there's a girl in there somewhere.
You think?
Yeah. When the stakes are small, it can be, without probing them, which is something I don't like to do, it can be a little tricky sometimes telling the boys from the girls, because some things are relative. So we had Alistair and Jafar, who were ascribed as male gender, he, him, and now it seems like Jafar is Jafari, I would imagine. It seems like it might be a female. But we know for sure George is a boy. George is, you know.
Should we rename Jafar to something like, maybe like Leslie, or, you know, something to that extent, you know?
Possibly. Once it's confirmed that, you know, it's a girl, we'll have to, you know, ascribe a proper name to that gender. I'm sorry, I'm pretty much very binary, this one or that one, and I haven't caught up the young people thing, the younger, newer stuff. So I'll just kind of hold on to that.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother trying to get caught up in that, because genders used to be something so simple, and now it's just all over the place. But beyond that, exactly who are our 3 friends this morning?
So,
because this is a different inclusion. You never walk with a basket like this before. So.
Well, yeah, you know, it's because of Nadia. Because of Nadia.
Is it who?
Nadia. Nadia Watson. If you're looking for something to put inside the basket, I have the whole.
I like how you immediately
Blinking market.
Immediately, it's like, let me just.
Yeah, you just hold on to that one, and then we have this one, you know, and then we have this little guy here. You're going to come out for me now, Georgie?
I don't know.
Now it's time to come out. Here we go. See?
Because you're
snakes.
gripping all over.
We got snakes here this morning.
Bloody hell, these things are pure muscle.
Yep. So I think you have Alistair. So what you do, just keep your hand open. Don't hold it, really.
Oh, just hold it.
Don't hold it. And let it relax. See? Once your hand is open, you relax. Open your hand, loosen your grip. There we go. All right. So we have 3 red-tailed boa constrictors, otherwise known as mackerel.
Oh,
you see a mackerel.
Okay, now I'm glad you started off that way, because my first thought was that mackerel is just a general term used for boas in Trinidad, but it's specific to red.
Specific to the red-tailed boa constrictor. And as you can see, we can all present their tails. Yes. Let me have your tail here, Georgie, below the table. All their tails have a sort of a reddish color to it. Okay, hence the name, red-tailed boa constrictor. Even your guy, you can swing your tail out, and you'll see it's a nice shade of red.
I'm not sure he wants to move his tail.
Yeah, he's kind of locked in there.
He's
locked
in.
That's all right. Just bring that tail forward there. All of them have different, you know, shades of red, but you can generally call that a red tail. Hence the name, a red tail boa constrictor, Mackerel.
These guys are absolutely beautiful with it. They're so powerful. I just feel like pure
It's all
muscle moving.
Yeah, pure muscle. They'll want to hold on and move around. They're realizing really quick that they're not getting much mobility on the counter, so they will slide down to the edge and hold on.
Yeah,
and then just start to relax that way.
So whom do I have here?
That might be
you got
Alistair.
Okay.
And I think the lighter color one is Jafari. Right? And well, of course, in the middle
Big
there
guy
is
is George. Big guy is
George is the one
George.
in the middle there. And they're growing young people, young snakes. I think George is coming up on about 4 years old now. So
and you're saying that's young?
Yeah, they can grow and live for quite a while. What interrupts that growth is trees with something called a tree line. Sometimes a car tire and all that sort of thing.
Michaela, you interact with these things all the time.
Yes.
You like snakes. You're fascinated.
Oh, so let me tell you, there's a whole story behind this.
All right. Immediate response. I need to hear some.
Firstly, when I started off with the center, I definitely didn't like snakes, but I was forced to like them because 1, I'm a vet student, and 2, I need to learn how to handle them because this is my field. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations and best of luck in your studies.
Yes, thank
you.
you.
Veterinary studies are not the easiest at all. But now I understand the scripts.
Yes.
Yes.
But no, that's good. So you were forced like them. You were forced to interact with them. So you've learned.
And then I noticed these in particular, they are very docile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They have a mild temperament, so.
So let's speak about this then, because you mentioned that trees are disruptive. Yeah, he's like, let me just move it. Yeah, you go ahead, buddy. You just make yourself uncomfortable. Don't bite.
Right.
Anyway, so as we were seeing, these are red-tailed boas. You're seeing that they also get bigger than this.
Yeah, they can get up to 12, 13. I think the one was recorded at about 14 feet.
Yeah.
And that will be a female. The females are bigger because they produce quite a lot of offspring.
Yes. And it's not live offspring, is it?
Yes.
It's live.
Yes. They produce live. But it's a strange thing is that they give live birth, but what they do, as opposed to laying eggs like a lot of other reptiles, they retain the eggs within their bodies and incubate them there, really.
Really?
Yes. So there's, let me see if I make sure I don't get this wrong.
Oviviviparous.
Right.
Are you slicing me up?
Right. Oviviviparous.
Yes.
Right? I mean, they just keep the eggs in their body, incubate them, and then they let the ones out live, which is actually the very best way to do it.
Really?
So you really take care of your babies the
Are there
best
any
way.
instances where possibly, what if an egg unfortunately dies within the snake or something to that extent?
They pass it out, or it still remains encapsulated, and they come out as slugs, what's called slugs, and duds. So it's the same thing that would happen with an egg outside with a chicken. They just retain it within, and then it passes out at the time of birth. You can call it that.
Oh, that's incredible.
So they're not considered pregnant. When you see a female and she's really full and big, and you're pretty sure that she has babies in there, you wouldn't call her pregnant. You still call her gravid. That means she has eggs within her.
Wow.
It's a different process.
So, okay, and roughly how many young do they give on average?
Depends on the size, but some of the bigger females we've had I think 48 from one already.
Yeah.
48?
Yes, which we took the time to distribute far and wide all over Trinidad.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is it, okay, it's in their nature because they're babies, so going back into the wild is absolutely fine.
Yes.
Right.
I think generally though, like these guys who are in captivity with good reason, in terms of their release, because we've spoken about releasing animals back into the wild previously, what is that like for snakes? Is it just very easy for them to adapt?
Yeah, everything within them is set to do what they have to do. Very simple brains, very simple functions. Their bodies, everything is just meant to do that. But once there is no physical limitation for that, then they're fine to go back in the wild and do what they normally do.
So, Michaela, at the Wildlife Center, in terms of interacting with snakes, what is your, getting over that fear, you can easily handle these snakes, deal with these snakes.
Yes. Thanks to Mr. Ricardo Mead.
And babysit these snakes as well.
Yes.
And what about feeding? Big feeding. I think
there's an understanding that generally they tend to target rodents and birds, but is there diet beyond that? Or does it include anything else?
Well, large snakes can eat cats and dogs. That can and has happened.
The adults, like the bigger.
Yeah, a big snake can. You know, we've seen it. The video was posted right here in Trinidad where one was in a drain close to a house. I believe it was in Cascade, and it had just eaten a feral cat, a stray cat, and then a guti. There's another video posted from Tobago where recently they killed the snake, and then someone came by and cut the snake open, and you'd have seen an agouti.
Even iguanas.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Wide. So there's a wide selection of food out there for them naturally in our biodiverse ecosystem, and but when they get close to people, well, the rats, the Norway rats, which were not a normal part of their diet because they did not come from Trinidad. They were brought in here when Columbus and his merry crew came here and did their thing. So that's a European feature that came here, and these snakes are very important to help control that. And you're getting really friendly with that.
I'm getting
guy
very
over
busy.
there.
He's like, I'm
Right?
trying to grip on
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, just don't let it get, well, yeah, keep the head up. Even if the tail grips, keep the head up, and
There you
I'll
go.
usually keep it
You make yourself
around.
comfortable, okay? Yeah. You
So
make,
yeah, they have lots, yeah.
there you go. You make yourself comfortable. You
Yeah.
relax.
So there's lots of, they have quite a varied diet, depending on what is around. So that's why they're also very important. Europeans brought in the Norway rats, and our snakes here have literally adapted and absolutely love them. It's probably their #1 prey item. And because the rats go from small to, you know, almost a kilogram easily. So the snakes love the rats. So we don't go out and catch the wild rats normally. At the last center we did, I would set out dozens of traps and catch lots and lots of rats and freeze some of them. I had so many at some point I had to freeze them.
Really?
Yeah, put them to sleep, put them in 6-packs and freeze them. So you just go pull out a 6-pack from the freezer, defrost it, warm it up, and the snakes would have a feast.
Can you imagine the snakes thinking, I could do with a 6-pack today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely. That's kind of how it went, you know. And one of the best experiences I had, I bought a special rat trap, as it were, from Australia called the Terminator, and it used amplified electricity to kill them. So it was and that made it perfect for me because now I didn't have to kill them anymore. They went in there and they got 20,000 volts through their body. That was just about instant. And then I had a perfect preserved body with no blood, which I was able to now put into nice Ziplocs and label the date and so on and put them into the freezer.
These snakes are treated like kings.
Look at what, if we had left the rats, imagine the damage they would have done to poultry, livestock, and even people through spreading disease.
Like leptospirosis.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
That is deadly. It's like a silent killer in Trinidad. A lot of people are afflicted, a lot of people die, but nobody's really talking about it enough to make people aware and understand rats are a big problem. And, you know, we're just glad we have these around.
You know, funny enough, I've driven through some parts of Trinidad, all over, you know. Yeah. And there are times that I've had to look twice because you see something crossing the road, and I thought it was a small cat. It's actually a rat.
Yeah.
Like the size of these things now.
They're huge.
They're massive. Yeah. They're massive.
Yeah.
But, okay, how many species of boa do we have in Trinidad?
Boa, I would say we got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4.
At least 4?
Yeah, so the anaconda is in the boa family. You have the red-tailed boa, the rainbow boa, and the tree boa. At least 4. There's one that's fringe, but I will go with 4 for safety and say at least 4.
So there's always the possibility that there's another one out there that we haven't discovered, and thankfully, in many cases. Yeah.
Well, not true. It is. I mean, it'll be an amazing thing to discover more. And you know, they're still discovering so much stuff out there. There are people out there looking and researching and finding things and doing the DNA and the comparative analysis and determining, hey, this is something different. This is something new. But, you know, we still have so much to learn. That's why it's important for us not to destroy what we have before we know what we have.
Yeah.
You know, imagine somebody giving you a bag of gold and you're like, this stupid old bag, it's heavy, just let the scrap iron man take it. You know? And then he opens it and he's like, oh my goodness, I retiring. I'm not singing no scrap iron no more. I'm singing soca or something. You know, you have to know what you have to appreciate it. So we're trying to get that level of knowledge across and understanding, appreciate these animals and what they do, okay? And rub your hand on it like this there and show the public the slime on your hand. See how slimy it is? Is there any slime?
He's got a little bit of slime on him, yeah.
Slime?
Not very much, not very much.
There's no, that's you cold sweating.
That has to be it's like very little. I was seeing that gloss, I'm like, so
yes.
that's why, what is that? It's
Snakes
me,
are not slimy.
yeah.
Snakes are not slimy. And, you know, they saying, well, one, for the young people who are looking at this, I want to put out there one time that snakes and reptiles on the whole are not cold-blooded. We've been taught that.
Yes. You know why we've been taught that? Because we all believe that it goes along with cold-blooded killer.
Right.
And predators. So that's why they say cold-blooded.
Right.
No, they're not.
Right. So they're actually ectotherms. That means they produce their body temperature from outside. So in the air-conditioned studio right now, they're cool. When we go outside in a short while and the sun is blazing, they will heat up and get quite warm. So cold temperature, cold snake. Warm temperature, warm snake. And this is the reason why in the Arctic and Antarctic, there are no reptiles, because they can't control their body temperature. They're just going to be cold, they're going to sleep, and then eventually die.
I think, by the way, he's very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like so calm and
Found
relaxed.
his spot and just chilling.
What I found with these snakes, when you have them, they'll move a little bit and then they get comfortable afterwards.
I was just about to actually come back to an answer in that sense. I mean, how long did it take you to get over that fear?
For instance, I started with the center a couple months.
And was it something that's easy? Was it something that was easy? I mean, it took a couple months,
first,
but
first interaction, no. But then on the second interaction, yes. It became very easy.
Are there any snakes that you don't think you'd want to handle?
Green anacondas, I don't know. I still kind of have a fear for them, but
Size of them, huh?
I guess the size and the color, I don't know, it's just something about them. Still, I have a fear of them.
I got over that fear quite some time ago, actually, when I realized just how calm these guys could be. But I think what we need to stress as well for the viewing public, these animals are in captivity. It's different when you're interacting with wild animals.
Correct.
Because as I mentioned at the start of the program, I saw one video of a guy interacting with a snake. I can't recall what species, but interacting with a snake, laughing, having a good time, and then all of a sudden it just bit him on the face. He was lucky, it was right below his eye. And that was here in Trinidad. So please don't be stupid.
Yeah, these are wild animals. So happens that these are animal ambassadors. So they have literally from birth been in our hands. And we have socialized them, and if you want to use the word, train them to accept human contact and be around people, to be in the air condition, to be in the sun, situations where there is noise and stuff like that there, and to remain quite calm and okay with it. So they're very well socialized. That's the proper word. They're properly well socialized. So we can use these animals to give people a positive wildlife experience, and they learn about our wildlife in a good way. Rather than have fear in front of them, they get a chance to touch, and they learn there's no slime, and then to hold it and feel the muscles, and then see the pattern that even runs through their eyes. There's so much to learn, and they're so fascinating. And every single snake has a different pattern. It's almost like your own ID card or your fingerprint. All right, they might look alike. You see that one is lighter and more pink, that one is more gray. This one has like a blend of the two colors and more patterning. Everyone is different.
I'll be honest with you, it really doesn't bother me, because I absolutely am fascinated with them myself. But if we take a look at the anatomy, just for education purposes, we've seen those two, what looks like a nose. But is that a nose or is that heat?
Nostrils.
And do these guys, well, I know you see most of them in trees. Do they like swim? Do they go underwater?
They can swim, they can hold their breath for long periods underwater, and they're quite mobile also just on the regular ground. So these are real Trini snakes. They get around.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, you'll be surprised how quickly we'll get over a fence and move along, all over the place. They are quintessential Trini snakes.
So in Trinidad, do they have any predators?
Humans, and I would imagine the ocelot.
I liked how the first thing was humans.
Yeah, because did you see the video where they killed the snake, cut it up, skinned it, cut it up, and curried it?
No,
and ate it?
I actually didn't see that, but I did see a photo of what looked to be mackerel soup somewhere in Arima.
Yeah. So yeah, the first and main predator for these animals would be Trinis, humans, and then you have possibly ocelot. The smaller ones go after the ocelot, and if they're small enough, there's some birds like herons and so on. Even birds of prey. We have birds of prey that will go after them. The white hawk. We met Sky the white hawk. Snake is one of her favorite foods. It just loves snakes. The reptiles and whole snakes and iguanas, they absolutely love them. So a snake that's a good enough size will swoop down, grab it, take it off, kill it, eat it. So and there are other ones.
Oh yes, the caiman.
Yeah.
The mighty caiman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Small but powerful.
Yes.
Small but very powerful.
Yeah. The good thing for the snake is that it doesn't usually get into the water in its environment, but whenever he does, the caiman is the king.
So Michaela, as somebody who's really gotten over their fear and somebody who's interacting all about education, what do you want people to really, just as you've learned, what do you want them to learn and know about interacting with these creatures?
I mean, they are very nice animals. I can admit that. Before I couldn't admit that. Yeah, I really like working with them. You know, they serve a really good purpose, as we talked about before, with rodents, you know. So, yeah, they're really nice animals.
I think that's very important, how you stress that they serve a purpose.
Yes.
They're not just there because
you
they're...
know, there's a big zoonotic disease, as we said, leptospirosis, and that's something that can transmit from animal to human and from human to animal, so.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, you have a vet in the future that's going to be there in a sense as well.
Definitely interested in wildlife.
Certainly. Well,
yes.
I love it as well. I didn't study it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I must say, I'm so glad you guys brought 3 this morning, because we all got to interact and we all got to have a good time. This guy is so comfortable. So comfortable. It's like I'm just going to lie right there. I barely moved. Well, I guess you'd say the tail is wrapped around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrapped around the arm of my chair. So
they love to feel supported.
I think I'm gonna have to stay like this for a while because he's getting he's just resting. Ricardo Mead, you guys are off to Florida next week.
Yes.
I will miss you guys next week.
You know what? Since you're into the snake so much, I'll probably arrange for an anaconda or something to come by. All right, we're not going to leave a void. We're going to get somebody to come by. You know, that's how the center. That's how we roll at the center. This is 24.
As long as it's not more than 6 feet, yeah, sure.
Well, snakes don't have feet, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's not.
But it'll probably be 12 or 13.
I don't think the desk is
long.
that long.
Well, we'll put a couple of volunteers on the end to support head and tail. But you know, if you're going to bring out the big guns,
bring out the big
you bring out the big guns.
All right, okay, I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
You know what they say, right? Big goatee, small goatee, same shot.
That's a new one for me, actually.
Really? Yeah, that's an old one that they use a lot. Yeah, they're not going to go and change a gun or change. You know, they do the same thing. And well, we're hoping that big goatee, small goatee, no more shots, and they can be preserved to enhance the lives of us all. So I'm looking forward to February, the end of February, which means end of hunting season.
Ah, yes.
And, well, the continuance of poaching season.
The legal
hunting
season.
Right, yeah. So I know there are a few good, decent, proper hunters will put down their weapons and give the animals a chance, but we all have to join together to persecute and annihilate the poachers because they will affect us all in a very negative way.
Certainly. Do these guys, by the way, ever close their eyes? Or are they always open?
Always open.
I think I'm going to have to take 1 or 2 lessons from you guys. Half the time my eyes are closed. I have a different problem to Michaela. I'm absolutely fine with snakes. Fine with all the birds, fine with everything.
Yeah.
Spiders. Cockroaches. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you okay interacting with them?
No, I'm not okay.
Finally,
I'll choose snakes
finally
over them.
somebody from this center who understands.
Yes.
So since she's not going to be here on the 24th, neither am I think we can probably have the pink-toe tarantula come in.
No, you can have the anaconda, as you said.
Well, that's going to be on the 17th. That's next week. The 24th it's 2 Wednesdays we're going to miss.
Well, bring 6 feet next week and 6 feet the other week. Yeah. Spread it out over 2.
Well, 6 feet, that would be a cockroach. They have 6 feet as an insect. Important, you know. People got to learn about this stuff.
I said it was good to have you back. Why didn't you leave your sense of humor at the center?
You know, but you know, you're gonna have fun. We're not gonna miss a beat with Wild Wednesday, and this year we have a terrific lineup, and quite thanks to the amazing biodiversity that we have right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't have to go far. We don't have to bring lions and tigers. We got some cool stuff right here that I'm sure so many people out there don't know about. I would just love to know because, like, oh my gosh, I saw that one time. You know, we might get lucky, and that's how rehab goes. You never know when that phone rings, what's on the other end of the line.
Of those 75 calls, probably 74 cats.
Well, a few each day, and now a big problem, monkeys. So we have to find a way to deal with the monkey
I
situation.
remember you telling me that late last year that the situation is people always want to have monkeys as pets. They don't know how to deal with them at all.
Correct. And they believe the solution is let them go.
No.
These animals are invasive, so they're creating a major problem here in our country. And almost every day we get several monkey calls. So right now we have some in Diego Martin and Tunapuna that have to be, they're getting around. There was one call, it was in the middle of the highway. It's coming much worse. And it seems like instead of people heeding our calls to leave the animals alone in the wild where they belong, I want a monkey, I want a monkey. I can imagine how many girlfriends have gotten monkeys for Christmas. Because they're like, you know, I would like to have a baby. And the guy's like, baby? All right, I'll give you a monkey. I just don't know that. Right? But it's a terrible choice. It's a terrible choice. Giving animals as gifts, not the best idea. It's coming from your heart, but not from a place where the person wants it or has the ability or the legal propensity to keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to consider all of these things. So it's not really a good idea.
It doesn't even go for monkeys. I think generally in getting any pet, people think, oh, it's nice. They don't know the responsibility.
Yeah. You know, many chickens and little bunny rabbits are going to be traded coming up for Easter.
Yeah.
With the colors on them.
And the
then,
colors,
and then the kids think it's like a plush toy. You just put it down and leave it. It has to be taken care of. It eats, it sleeps, it poops, it has to drink water. It's just so much care to go into it. So let's not try to be abusive to animals. Let's do the right thing. Leave them and love them just about where they are. And if you encounter ones that are injured or orphaned, then you can reach out to us. Wildlife, that is. Please, we're getting killed with the cat calls, because that's another major problem we have here in Trinidad. I'll try my best to direct your calls in a responsible manner, but we do wildlife rehabilitation, so if your problem looks like this, in your roof or anything like that, we're there for you, okay? If it's your cat, your dog, your rabbit, your ex-boyfriend, that is your problem. Keep us out of that, please.
If it's your ex-boyfriend, it might be something wild as well, so...
Yeah, but not the kind of wildlife we deal with, right? And as soon as, only people right now are probably commenting, hey, look, my ex and she family on the show and all that. You know, it goes in the treaties and stuff like that there. So, yeah, a true, real, bona fide wildlife we deal with. The other stuff, well, you're on your own with that, Call the TSPCA and the TTPS.
That's your problem, that's not mine. Michaela, a pleasure meeting you. Enjoy the trip next week. And come back on the program so you could tell us all about what you guys learned.
I definitely will.
You could educate us and bring these guys back. Please, he was so good this morning. He was such a good guest this morning. And he still is a good guest. Ricardo, good seeing you again. All the best for the year ahead. I think he wants a kiss.
Yeah, Georgie boy is very, very friendly.
And guys, well, thank you very much for joining me on AM Prime this morning. And I get to close the show, not just with me alone, but we got special guests in the studio from myself and my little friend here. Well, we wish you a very good day ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
WESN.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break